afternoon, everyone. The City Council Committee on Human Services, Housing, Youth, Elder, and Veterans Affairs will now be called to order. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilor Kadim?
Here.
Councilor Langley? Chair Reposo?
Here. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and deemed acknowledged and permissible. First item on the agenda is citizens' input. Do we have any citizens' input? Nope. Fair enough. Second item on the agenda is the minutes from the July 25th, 2023 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion made. I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That has it. Item number 3 on the agenda is a resolution to continue discussion on the American Disabilities Act needs and improvements. Need a motion to lift from the table?
Motion to lift from the table.
Motion so made. I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We can call down our representatives from City Hall. And also on the phone this afternoon is Mr. Pacelli from our Fall River Disabilities Commission. Hello, Mr. Pacelli.
Hello, and I believe Commissioner Dan Robillard is also in the chamber.
Hi, Dan. Dan, do you want to come down as well? So we have Mr. Pacelli on the phone. Mr. Robillard is heading down here with us. And then if our two friends at the table can, names and titles, please.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Al Oliver. I'm the Director of City Operations.
Thank you.
Stephanie MacArthur, interim traffic and parking clerk.
Excellent. Thank you both for being here. So we have a presentation this afternoon on an update on completed ADA projects and where we stand with that. I don't know who would like to start. Mr. Oliveira, would you like to begin?
Absolutely.
Okay, you may.
So some of the things that we've been working on since 2018, and we were updating as we go. We have the second floor, the city clerks, the traffic, the collectors, treasurers. Everything's listed in the by floors. And I added a quick little sample of what it would look like. That's bringing the counter down up to 36 inches. That allows for some access at that point. So all these items have been completed since 2018 through various grants. Another one is just a quick sample of the before and after what the city clerk's offices would look like prior and what they currently look like now. To be completed, 3rd floor, 4th floor, and 5th floor. The assessor's office during modernization, that has since been constructed. We're ready to open it within the next week and a half or so. The full assessment of the full renovation of the assessor's office has finally been completed. That's taken close to about 15 to 16 years. And now these are the ones that are left. So in September 15, we did apply for a grant, and that was to complete the other 3 floors.
And do we have any update on that grant so far, or just?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
It
Is that the ADA grant?
Massachusetts Municipal ADA grant. Water fill stations. We added water fill stations. We did have bubblers, but we added the fill stations, and I will say that they're highly used at this point, and that's what a typical water fill station looks like. Again, this was another ADA grant that we utilized. Signage, Braille signage have been added. We are vetting the lobby sign. It's a little confusing, but we want to make sure we get that right to mirror some of these signs. The council chambers, that was done in 2020. We initially had a temporary ramp that has been added in 2020. The hearing room, 2022. The floor was level. It used to be a theater-style arrangement. We are working on some of the restrooms very shortly that will bring those up to ADA compliance. Pine Street Veterans Center. We completed this phase in August of this year. We added a new ramp. I will say that this is the third ramp. When I was here 10 years ago, we added a ramp that was replaced due to prior deterioration with the other ramp. And when they replaced that ramp, we needed to bring this ramp up to proper pitch. So that's been completed. Metal railings, we had the parking lot striped, a lot of ADA signage that we added. New fence was fabricated, bollards, and then restroom mirrors were lowered. We're currently planning another project with another ADA grant, and we're looking at rear door buttons, push pads, refurbish the decking on the rear ramp, pour a concrete pad, a path to the rear green space. They have a beautiful space in the back. We'll pour a pad there for an ADA picnic table. We'll repair some of the ramp with some Trex leading into the green space, and then we'll install some ADA compliant signs and then some bathroom signage.
And will that be through the same ADA grant you've applied for?
That will be through the same grant, yes. What I did not add to this was that we did apply, Chris Pirano, the assistant planner, did apply for a $150,000 municipal ADA grant for an assessment of the streets and sidewalks. So we're waiting on all those grants at this point in time.
Council Kadim, any questions?
Just in regard to I know we did that ADA plan, which allows us to get the ADA grants or apply for the ADA grants.
Correct.
And I think we saw that at the last subcommittee meeting. In terms of major projects that we have, what's, I guess, still outstanding for major? I know there's a ton of ADA work that needs
There's
to
a
be
lot
done.
of ADA
Yeah.
work, but I mean, right now, we're with the funds, that's what we're capturing right now with the funds that we're able to apply. I can come back and bring you up to speed on
Yeah,
the
I'm-
full plan at
I'm
this
just,
point.
yeah, I would be looking for if you can identify major ADA projects that we need to look at. I know, again, like I said, there's a lot that needs to be improved, and that's gonna take some time with the various grants, but I'm just curious to see, the major projects and how we're making progress on that.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is, in terms of the senior centers, I know none of those are our buildings, right? They're all rented?
Correct.
So
They're all rented.
was the ADA plan did they look at those centers as well, or?
I don't believe so,
No,
but
okay.
I will check.
Yeah, and because I would just be curious to see where we stand with the senior centers, especially with a lot of, the elderly and, wheelchairs and things like that, to make sure that they are accessible.
I know in the past, the Maplewood area, I know we replaced some type of a ramp there years ago.
Okay.
I'll get up to speed on that one.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Pacelli?
Yeah, they did look at the senior centers, and I know that, I think one of them was being moved or something like that, but in the 2018, 2019 transition plan, they did look at the senior centers.
Okay.
I don't have off the top of my head what they found, but.
Yep, no, I appreciate that.
And I think in that ADA plan, it talked about some other municipal buildings as well, like firehouses,
Yes.
schools that
Yep.
use for voting.
Correct.
Polling places.
Polling places, the police station. Can you also get an update on where we stand on those other municipal buildings?
Absolutely.
So we can, then again, kind of make a target list of what needs to be addressed going forward.
Will do.
Mr. Pacelli, would you like to speak your piece?
No, I think that's fine. I think Mr. Oliveira has really updated everybody very well. Our work group meets with him about every 3 months or so, with Chris Pirano and with Mr. Oliveira. The only other thing that I would bring to your attention is the new city website. We are being consulted on that pretty regularly by the IT department. I don't know when the rollout is supposed to be, but we are meeting with the IT department next week. We had them work with a vendor that did the transition plan in 2018, 2019 on the city website. So they have been working with the IT department. So I think we're going to have a good ADA compliant website once it's ready to be rolled out.
Okay. So are you aware, as far as the new city website's up now, is it up to compliance? Because it is live. Do we know?
My impression is it's still in progress. At least that's what I've been told.
Okay.
It's still being worked on.
Yeah, I think we're in the
I mean,
middle.
We're meeting with, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I think we're in the middle of a transition between the old website and the new one still. But I guess it is live, so that's my only concern.
Right. There will be continuous tweaks
Okay.
to that. There will be.
Fair enough. Mr. Purcelli, anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Okay.
Mr. Roblat?
Yeah. Mr. Roblat?
Is this Micah?
It is.
Thank you. The only thing I'd like to say is I'm looking forward to seeing what the streets and sidewalk part of the plan is. I think that's vital, as well as the pedestrian signals. And not for this committee, but I think in the new year, I'd like to discuss the accessibility of taxi service in the city, because there isn't, we have about 2 companies that I'm aware of in the city, and there's still not any accessible taxi that can carry a resident that is confined to a wheelchair. I know there's a lot of discussion about Uber and Lyft really hurting the taxi business as we know it. I'd like this council to look at the regulations around Uber and Lyft, because right now Uber and Lyft drivers basically use their private vehicles to transport customers, in which case if they're using a private vehicle, it would be impossible to expect that they would have a vehicle that could in fact carry a passenger that's confined to a wheelchair. So at some point, if Uber and Lyft are gonna be the new sort of taxi services, at some point, we're gonna have some regulation that mandates that they have some ability to carry a person that's confined to a wheelchair. Because, and I understand that the current taxi companies are not even going 24 hours. I understand that, but not this committee, but this council does have jurisdiction over the taxi licenses. So at some point, whether it's Uber, whether it's Lyft, whether it's one of the taxi companies, doesn't matter, in my opinion, if the service is 24 hours. At some point, if they're gonna do business in the city, there ought to be some mechanism where a person that's confined to a wheelchair can have access to a taxi when they're in business. How that takes effect, I don't know. I know there's a lot of opposition, at least from one taxi company, on this very idea. Mr. Hume has made it clear, going all the way back to 2017, that he's not in favor of it. But again, the council is the issuing authority of the licenses. At some point, I think people that are confined to wheelchairs should have a right to access a taxi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roblat. And I think it should be the due diligence of this committee to research the situation with the taxi companies. And also, I'll probably file a resolution to get them invited here to a meeting to discuss that, and bring that back up to the table.
I believe there's something tabled in ordinance right now, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I will speak to the chairman of ordinance and we'll see if we can get that figured out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roblat.
Chairman?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I do have some documents and some court cases and things like that if the committee is, when and if the committee decides to research this issue.
Excellent.
So we've done this, it's been in council since 2017, and I've been able to gather some court cases and things like that. So when you're ready to do that, I can provide that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Pacelli. So the next part of this conversation is about streets and traffic signals, and it's some of the conversations I've had with Mr. Pacelli in recent history. So I'll let you speak a little bit on that, and then if
Yep.
you have questions,
Yeah, no
we'll
problem.
engage.
So I've actually been in contact with Chris Hathaway in regards to this, being with the signal division. So as of right now, we have 13 intersections in the city with the APS pedestrian traffic signals. I have a list here of those. Same thing, he's working on those with the grants. He did say that he has 4 more intersections. He didn't give me the intersections that he is awaiting for, but I do have a list of the 13 right now that are active.
Can you share that with the public so they're
Yeah,
aware
of
of it,
course.
please?
So intersection number 1 is 15 South Main Street at Dwelly Street. Intersection number 2 is North Main Street and Bedford Street. Intersection number 3 is President Avenue at North Main Street. Intersection number 4 is W.S. Canning Boulevard at Newton. Number 5, Borden Street at 2nd Street. Number 6, W.S. Canning Boulevard at Tucker. 7, South Main Street at Columbia. 8, South Main Street at the Courthouse. 9 is Brayton Avenue at the Bike Path. 10 is Bedford Street and Rock Street. 11 is South Main and Picasset. 12 is W.S. Canning Boulevard and Mario Bishop Boulevard. And the last one is Sullivan Drive and 3rd Street.
Okay. And those signals are voice, or are they just noise? How do they?
It's noise.
Noise, okay.
Yep.
Okay. And you said there were 4 you were waiting, you don't have that
I
list?
don't have that one, no. That's,
So,
Chris didn't give me those.
fair enough. So going back, Mr. Oliver, to the larger plan, streets are included in that plan, that's from my understanding. So in that major plan we'll put together, and you're gonna kind of research, will include some of the intersections. I'm sure Mr. Pacelli probably has some feedback, as well as Mr. Robelot, about intersections that would be, need some attention when it comes to pedestrians and where those signals, the next set of signals may be considered to be put. Okay. Mr. Pacelli, if I can go back to you for 1 second, if you can just remind me for a minute. I know we talked about pedestrian audio signals. Was there something else that we had mentioned that maybe we want to consider when it comes to streets and signs?
I'm trying to think. Other than curb cuts, and I think that's all going to be, that may all be part of the new grant for the transition plan of taking a look at streets and sidewalks. I'm not sure. I know we've talked about cracks in sidewalks, which makes it difficult for people on crutches, and curb cuts on one side of the street and not on the other, which for wheelchair users. But I'm not. And I guess the audible pedestrian signals are being worked on, so I can't think anything off the top of my head right now.
Okay. Anything else that you want to add?
Nope.
Does that cover everything you had?
Yep.
Okay. Counselor Kadim, you want to add
Just-
anything?
So, quick question. So I know all the new roads that are going in, and sidewalks, I should say, are meeting the standards of ADA, right? With the contractors as they go out to bid. What about the traffic lights and the pedestrians, like when we have to replace them if somebody hits a pole or anything like that? Are those getting replaced as well?
So as Chris is updating, they are updating, modernizing at the
Yep.
same time.
Okay.
That's the last conversation I had.
All right, perfect. Because I know obviously if there were road projects that included new traffic lights going in, that would be included. I'm just curious of, every once in a while we get those lights that get hit and knocked down. Just want to make sure that we're replacing them with ADA equipment. So,
Whoever he can.
Yep,
absolutely,
okay.
yes.
Do you,
I
Counselor?
yield, thank you.
Okay. So it will be the intention of this committee to probably schedule a meeting in the next month or so to get an update on those major plans, within reason, of course, maybe January, we'll see, but I'd like to get this rolling as soon as, because as we go into the spring season, if there's something we can immediately address once the weather breaks, then we should probably go forward on that. All right. So we're gonna continue this discussion, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to table.
So moved.
Motion made, I will second. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is approved. City Council Committee on Human Services, Housing, Youth, Elder, and Veterans Affairs is now adjourned.